Hello, everybody. We are here for the Captain America Brave New World review.
Yeah.
Nick, what shirt are you wearing?
Zach Brown Band.
Well, I dressed for the occasion.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought about getting one of those.
Did you see it at AMC?
Yeah, I saw them.
You should have gone.
Is it just a toy shield?
It's a popcorn bucket.
Oh, that's a little absurd.
It is absurd, but it's also
I
awesome.
didn't know that's what it was.
Whoever
it was a helmet too, right? What was that?
The what?
There's like a helmet too, right?
The helmet is also a popcorn bucket, but not nearly as cool as the shield. And quite frankly, is this worth $42.99? No. But I like how shiny it is. And right. I am going to mount it because I like Captain America.
I do.
So I got the cup as well.
Do you want to start with our
Yeah, I'm gonna lead this discussion. I want to
start
how
we with felt going in before.
About how we felt going in.
Yeah, like before we.
I mean, we talked about that a little bit with Robert in the last segment, but yeah, I think that on the whole, I went in with really, really low expectations. And here's why. I went in with really low expectations because we've talked about it on the show, but there's been kind of a aura around the movie. Like it's been in, I wouldn't say development hell, but like we knew coming out of Captain Falcon, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that there was going to be a movie. Like we kind of knew that was coming. They teased a lot of different stuff. A lot of stuff I didn't know about, like the reshoots and whatnot. You told me. I'm not huge on the director, Julius Ona. I didn't really like Cloverfield Paradox. I haven't really liked a lot of the movies that he's done. The other one that he did was Loose, which I thought was good, but it didn't like capture me in a big way. So I there was a lot of like extenuating circumstances. Obviously, we've talked about like the state of the MCU. We talked about that with Robert. We're going to talk about that next week with Jacoby as well. Very briefly, or not with Jacoby, but before we talk
in that episode, yeah,
in that episode. So, but on the whole, I was going in with really low expectations because everything was telling me that I should be having low expectations. And not to mention that obviously the movie came out 4 days ago now at the time you're seeing this. And I did see the Rotten Tomatoes score before going in because I get that information through my job. Like I'm told on a daily basis, like what is happening critically and with the guests. So I'm told that on a whole, like I get a lot of information about like how the guests are responding to movies so that I can react as far as like my scheduling and stuff goes. So so going into it, I was expecting low things.
Yeah.
I think you felt the same way.
Yeah. Based on based on where the universe is, where the people's who make it, the people who've been making the projects, where their heads are at and where their priorities are as far as pushing a narrative over telling a good story. And yeah, the fact that it was reshot a bunch of times, they didn't really seem to know what they were doing, and quite frankly, I hate the show. Thought about it a lot, and I hate the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just like I hate all the rest of the shows.
Which we've talked about it. Not, I mean, and to be fair, I rewatched the show after our conversation with Robert, but before filming this and before seeing the movie, and I lowered my score. I would not say that I hate it by any means, but I think I like, and I know, and this is not to rub you the wrong way. I know that you like Sam, and I know you like Bucky, but like those two could be on screen fucking fixing the boat for 6 hours of 6 episodes, and I would watch it and love it. So like
Sure.
I still enjoy it, but it is by no means something I'm popping on every day like I could The Winter Soldier or I could
I think it's a bad show with great characters in it, quite frankly, but bad show.
I really don't like the villains. Like, I think Erin Kellyman is a good actress. I've seen her in other things that I like.
I've not seen her in anything where I thought she was particularly great.
I thought she was quite good in the Willow show, which I know doesn't, which is fair. But anyway, go on.
My only other experience with her is Solo. But like, she's playing a bad guy who they just kind of tell us we're supposed to feel bad about and like sympathize with, and
I agree.
And that's where my main issue with the MCU is in general, is they just tell us what we're supposed to feel instead of creatively making a story that makes us feel that way.
That's fair.
And then we get to this movie. Expectation, bottom of the like garbage. I go in, I went and saw it with Giancarlo and our friend Jack.
Nice. And
I remember telling them, like, guys, this is gonna be bad. And they were excited for it, so I felt but I'm the Mr. Negative, so I was like, this is gonna suck, it's gonna be awful. Movie ended. They looked at me, and I looked at them, and I said, I'm not mad. I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
I know that's a very unpopular thing to say. A lot of the movie reviewers who I watch, who
a lot of our friends.
Sure, but a lot of the movie reviewers who I watch online, like the popular ones, who tend to agree with me on things I watch, were also shitting on this. And I watched it, and I kind of liked it. And I think there's reasons for that I'm sure we'll get into. But
I'm shocked to hear this. So here's Nick and I, whenever we do this, we don't really tell each other what we thought ahead of time. So this is the first time I'm hearing his opinion. He's not on Letterboxd like me. So my review, I wrote one sentence. It was, I like what I like, back off. That's it. And I'm sure, frankly, before we get like super into it, I have a feeling that Nick is probably going to be mildly more critical than I am.
Probably.
But on the whole, I agree. I saw it with my dad and with Maggie. It ended. We went into it. I got home from work on Thursday, and my dad was with my mom babysitting Ellie. And my dad looks at me and goes, "This movie we're about to see, I hear it's pretty bad." And I was like, "Yeah, the reviews aren't coming in really hot." And I said, but for me personally, a bad MCU movie is a movie I would rather watch than a lot of other things. So that's fair. I was like, but for me, like, if I get to go see Sam Wilson on the big screen, like, I'm a pretty happy guy. And so
I just wish we didn't have to see him in a show first.
Yeah, that's fair. But the movie ended, and I looked at my dad, and I was like, "That was all right." And
there were times where I was laughing.
Yeah, he had to leave right away, so he didn't see the terrible post-credit scene. Which, let's be honest, the post-credit scene is terrible.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But Maggie, when she came back, she left when there wasn't a mid-credit scene. Oh, full spoilers, by the way. We're gonna like totally talk about everything. But she left to go to the bathroom, and when she came back, she looks at me and she goes, "So I didn't hate it." And I was like, "No." And to be clear, like, I wish I loved it. I wish I was.
I do believe the reason I didn't hate it is due to my extremely low expectations.
Correct, but I think I agree with you. What you said, I was actively like watching the movie. There was one moment in particular where I was like, this is not good, and I wish this was better. And I wonder if you know what I'm thinking about. But everything else, I was either like, this is actively entertaining me,
yep,
or I'm really enjoying it.
I kept waiting for the turn. Like it happens like all the time where you're like, yup, not enjoying this anymore. And it just never happened.
Yeah.
And
Can you
I
guess
don't
what?
know what moment you're talking about. What moment is that?
I thought the scene with Bucky was not good.
Wow. We're going
It
to disagree.
That's fair. I
I thought
thought
there was a dumb thing about it, but
I love that Bucky was there. I think the fact that Bucky came to Sam as a friend in that moment, spot
great.
on, love it. I thought the writing was awful. It was just Sam sitting there being like, "This is what I need to do," blah, 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 and and Bucky being like, "How does that make you feel?" It was just, it felt very that of all, because again, if I didn't know there were reshoots,
Sure.
knowing there were shit ton of reshoots, that scene felt like a forced, we gotta put this in to throw Bucky into the movie type of moment.
I agree with you because a lot of the things they tried to handle in that scene is what the show was about. And again,
Correct.
and I think they did a really bad job with the show. But I think part of the reason I like that scene is because I tried to go into this movie forgetting the show existed.
That's fair, and it works, honestly.
It does. It works without the show, apart from
Isaiah, the Isaiah,
apart from Isaiah, and which honestly, Isaiah I think is the best part of the show. But
I agree, yeah.
But and Joaquin Torres a little bit, but you would pick up like, oh, it's the new Falcon. Okay, great.
Yeah.
That moment I thought was great because it outlined everything I've been saying about Sam and Bucky, other than the fact that Bucky's running for Congress, which made me want to jump out of the window because I was like,
oh, I thought it was kind of cute. But
no, stupid, because my whole reason for Bucky not being Captain America is the past he has to atone for. So he can't be, he needs to like, it's not that he can never be cleared of that past or that it's even his fault, but the optics would be bad. But the optics don't matter if you're running for Congress. So like, I was really mad that he was running for political office. I was like, that is stupid. Especially when he's coming up in a movie where he's fighting the Void. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah, again, I mean, we talked about that with Robert, but I don't know who the Void is or any of that shit. But
However, the scene, I thought the writing was fine. The joke about it being his speechwriters like went on a little too long, and I was all right, like we get it, haha. But like and again, taking the show out of it, he's what Sam Wilson should be about, because it mirrors real life. Should be about everyone telling him you can't be Cap because you're not Steve Rogers, because you don't have the serum, you can't fight, you weren't a war hero, you were just a regular like soldier, blah blah blah, whatever. When in reality, Sam has been the most loyal, brave person in the MCU. He has gone into all the same fights with Bucky and with Steve without super soldier serum. And he's been there by their side, and he, like, Steve comes up to his door in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and says, people are trying to kill us. We need your help. He looks at Steve, who he's met once, and Natasha, who he's met once, and says, get in here. Let's help.
Yeah, how do we do this? Like, yeah.
And
I agree.
He 100%. Works at the VA. He like helps people. He's just the ideal person to take up the shield as himself.
I agree. I think I've been totally convinced of that. And I think something that I thought about was, and maybe this isn't a fair comparison because, like, well, maybe it is though, because at the time that Winter Soldier was coming out, the Russo brothers were no one, and they had done comedy. They'd done comedy and the Community, and that's it. So going into that movie, I remember being. And that's top 3 MCU for me. Like, I think for me it's Infinity War, Guardians, Winter Soldier. Like, I
actually have it at 4.
But I was comparing the opening fight on the ship, which name I can't remember, trivia. The White Russian. No, that's Star. Batman v Superman. Jesus, what is it?
The Lemurian Star.
Yes. So that whole thing where he fights all the guys and takes them all out really quickly and is Captain America, and then he fights what is it, Belloc or Baltrock?
The Leaper.
Yeah, whatever. So
Batroc the Leaper. Belloc is Raiders.
Jesus. And he does it in glorious fashion, and it's epic. He does that kick. And I was thinking about that during the opening scene of this movie, where right when Sam comes in, he's got the wings, he's got the shield, he takes those guys out really quick. But once he gets inside or whatever to save the hostages, which I love, where they're like, Joaquin is like, no, your job is to get the
loved Joaquin, by the way.
I did too. I thought he was great. I like that actor a lot. But yeah, when they were like, you got to go get the whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, there's hostages. I got to go. Total Cap move. Love that shit. When he goes inside, he gets his ass kicked.
He does.
But he doesn't give up. And that's what I fucking love. And it's a contrast of the sense of like Steve and Sam. Like you have to compare them because it's Captain America.
Right.
But I feel like everything you said about Sam, of him being like always going into the fight with these people with the serum, him questioning the serum, whether he should have taken it or not, but he's in that fight, he gets his ass kind of beat by that big dude or whatever, but he perseveres, he does it, he gets the job done, and he also does it without the shield, which I thought was a nice contrast to Winter Soldier, which I don't think that was on purpose, but the moment that like it's not Belloc, Baltrock, whatever.
Batroc,
says, I heard you were more than just a shield or whatever. So as Steve fights him without the shield, he got the shield thrown away in this scene, and Sam gets up and fights, and that was like the whole movie. I loved that Sam, like, constantly with or without the shield, was getting up and fighting, and I love that.
And they set it up when he goes to spar with Isaiah. He goes to spar with Isaiah, and the goal of the sparring session is not to beat Isaiah, but it's to like slip his attacks and get the flags off his back.
Yeah,
and he does it very, very well. And he takes a hit, and then he gets up, and Isaiah goes, Cap doesn't take rests or whatever.
Doesn't take 5 or whatever.
Because that's what Sam has to do as a fighter, not as Captain America. Like, that's so much more encompassing than just your ability to fight. But as a fighter, I went into this being very worried about Sam fighting the Red Hulk because I thought it was unrealistic.
Yeah, I would agree.
Apart from 1 or 2 moments where I was like, that would hurt a little.
I was gonna say there's no way he survived those.
That would hurt a little bit more than you're showing. But apart from that, he finds unique ways to fight the Red Hulk. And I can explain it away in my head as saying, like, the Red Hulk's not as strong as Hulk. So like his wing could go into him but those are things you kind of have to explain away. But
by the way, that shit was brutal.
Yeah. I thought he blew up. I thought the Red Hulk straight up exploded. I thought he stuck a bomb in him and blew him up.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's fair. I did not think that, but I can see how you would think that.
But so that's the thing is this movie should have been about Sam proving he can be Captain America without the same fighting style, because Steve became Captain America before he got the serum.
Yeah.
He became Captain America when he stood up to that dude in the alley and proved that he could do this all day. And he truly became Captain America when he jumped on the dummy grenade. Yeah. When Phillips throws a dummy grenade and he jumps on, he goes, you win a war with guts, and he throws it, and Steve's the only one with guts. And it's like,
and honestly, like, I know you love the first Avenger like way more than I do. I like it quite a bit. I think
that and No Way Home are fighting for my top 5 at all times.
I think that Winter Soldier and Civil War are in like another league.
I agree with that.
With the first Avenger, I'm saying first Avenger is like, it might not even be in my top 10.
That's fine.
I love it, but like, I think first Avenger is a better movie than this movie.
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely.
But I think this movie did as good of a job as showing me this Captain America's first real like threat
Yes.
as Captain America as Steve's in the first one. That's
Yeah.
how I felt coming out of it. Now again, the there are things that I think like I thought that this movie tried to garner kind of harken back to the Winter Soldier like political thriller
It
vibes.
felt like that at
It
times.
it didn't totally succeed in my opinion. Um
Sure.
but I liked that aspect. I liked the political thriller aspect of it more. Um
There was no multiverse bullshit.
yeah, it was just and that's
It was
and
just
well, and that's why I like you go to phase 1 of the MCU, it's all very grounded in Thor, I guess is totally grounded.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying. Phase 2 where they start to go a little more cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Mm-hmm.
Winter Soldier's the most grounded movie in there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Iron Man 3
Yeah,
maybe.
Iron Man 3. Yeah.
Um
Ant-Man.
but okay, fine. But I mean, I get the quantum realm and stuff. Like
Yeah,
but,
I
anyway,
guess okay.
but my point is that like I enjoyed, yes, that what I like about the MCU is when it feels connected to a universe I love,
Mm-hmm.
um, but still can contain its own story. And something that we were and we meaning I think the general public, maybe not you, in phase 2 was always like why didn't Steve just call the Hulk to help him with this whole Winter Soldier thing and Hydra? Oh, why didn't Tony just call Cap
Yeah.
to help out? It was a thing that like post Avengers, but I liked that in this movie right away from the get-go, Thunderbolt was like, we want the Avengers back together. They're setting up a scenario where the Avengers are, for all intents and purposes, very dismantled.
Yep.
It made me feel like, okay, there's a giant red Hulk rampaging, that there wouldn't be a Shang-Chi or a
Or that there is, but that happened so quickly that no one would.
sure, but like it could be secluded in its own spot
Yeah.
and it not needing to be an issue. Though I gotta be honest, even though it's like so many movies removed, when the Red Hulk jumped into the Pentagon, I was like, Spider-Man was there. That was pretty
I
cool.
mean, the Washington Monument. The Washington
Oh
Monument.
yeah, sorry, the Washington Monument. You're right. What did you think about? Let's get into some more specifics.
Okay.
What did you think about um, the leader?
I liked it, and I he's not the best written villain.
No,
He's not very his motivations don't run very deep. And maybe this is just me being like, oh, I seen him in a movie before, so I like it. But one thing this movie tried to do, which I can at least appreciate the effort for, is it tried to close loops.
I agree.
One of the biggest issues with Phase 4 is how many things they've just left wide open. Shang-Chi's sister's running a terrorist organization. The power broker's out there doing something. There was an island of the Eternal guy. That was the biggest one, as everyone's like, there's just an Eternal in the middle of the ocean, and no one's saying anything about it. The Black Knight has a sword. Like, all of these things that feel like they're going nowhere. So something I appreciated in this movie is they at least tried to say, look, we acknowledge this universe is still together.
Yeah,
And we see the thing in the ocean, and you might not have liked what they did with it. I didn't mind that they were like, this is where adamantium comes from. But at least they were trying to do that. And I thought it was very, very cool that they showed their effort in doing that by tying up literally the longest standing loose end the MCU has had.
literally, yeah.
Was Samuel Stearns hinting at becoming the leader. I thought it was cool because, like, I love Thunderbolt Ross as a character in the comics and in the movies. I liked him. It sucks that it wasn't William Hurt. I thought Harrison Ford did a good job,
I
but
thought Harrison Ford was great.
I thought he did very good.
It just sorry, go ahead.
It's just hard for me. It's unfortunate timing because it's hard for me to see Sam being like, I know you're trying to do better, and it's like I haven't really seen him do bad before, but like I know he has. You know what I mean?
For me, it wasn't so much that type of stuff, but the Liv Tyler thing at the end fell so flat for me because it wasn't William Hurt.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I love
but
that
also like
there.
the Hulk wasn't Edward Norton anymore, so
Correct, totally.
They should have just brought in a totally different actress.
I think the difference is that post The Incredible Hulk, William Hurt has never interacted with Bruce Banner again. Like he's in after Incredible Hulk, Civil War is the first one he's in, and then Avengers and Black
then he's
Widow.
hiding in the back in Endgame until Rhodey like hangs up on William Hurt, and then Bruce comes out. But the leader, you asked about the leader.
Whoa.
Or not Endgame, Infinity War.
Yeah. You're right.
The leader. Yeah. I was looking forward to seeing him. So all they had to do was really just not screw him up. And I don't think they did. I don't think they did anything particularly interesting with him or particularly like revolutionary with him. But it was cool to think that Thunderbolt Ross, being the character he is, would think it's a good idea to take Samuel Stearns, who has now developed a supermind, becoming the leader, and used him as an asset to further his position. I thought that was totally plausible. And if you want to say that it's a thin motivation, just the general idea that Ross promised to let him go and he didn't, and he's mad, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't really have any issues with him at all until I thought the green screen was fucking terrible at that final scene with him and Sam was really bad. But
I didn't notice, but yeah,
that's fair. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I think again there wasn't. I think my biggest problem with the movie was the writing. I thought the actual scenarios and the things they were doing all made sense.
Okay.
And I was fine with. But the actual, like, I'm going to steal something from Jacoby, but Jacoby put this in his review where he was like, they pulled a Netflix where Netflix came out and said a thing where, like, in our shows, we need to say what we're doing so that if people weren't paying attention and then come back to it, they can know. So what Jacoby said was he pointed that out, and then he talked about how they were like, we got invited to the White House. And then in the next scene, they were like, we're in a limousine going to the White House. And then in the White House, they're like, isn't it crazy we were invited to the White House? It was like, okay, I get it. So I thought the
physical wasn't the strong suit of the movie. I would agree with
that. But I think also that comes with the issue of there were like 6 writers on the movie because there were so many reshoots. But to me, I don't need.
Writing's been the worst part of all the stuff post Endgame, by the way.
But so here's the thing, though, is like the writing in Thor: The Dark World is not very good. I like that movie because of the characters.
I think you need to specify what you mean by writing. Do you mean like the plot, like how
I'm saying the physical things they are saying,
the
dialogue writing.
Okay.
The actions that the characters are taking, I am pro. I am for. I like in that movie. I like the action. I like the way the movie looks. And I feel similarly about this movie in that, like, the actual dialogue was kind of like nauseating at times to me. But the action I thought was really good. The whole fight scene on the Celestial,
Yeah.
I thought was great. I saw it in 3D.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, really well done.
Yeah. And
He's
I knew Joaquin
Did you
like
see it in
wasn't
like any special IMAX or Dolby or anything like
Dolby.
that?
I saw it in Dolby. It was
How
great.
was that? How was that?
It's good. Really good.
Dolby
My
is
eyesight's getting a little rough because I stare at screens all day, but um
Dolby is chef's kiss.
it was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew Joaquin wasn't dead, but I still
Oh
like
God,
felt
no.
something when Sam was like looking at him. I was like,
Yeah. I
yeah.
really liked there, and that's the thing is, it's not to say the whole every scene is written terribly. Like I thought the scene between them at the end was really well done. Like the way that they
I
talked
thought
to
it
each
went
other.
on a little too long.
I would agree with that. But I liked that they were creating that moment, and it was also
Dude, that it was actually a great moment that you're talking
it's
about.
a hearken. Oh, again, maybe they did mean it, and I'm just being naive. I don't think they did because I think they're too stupid, but
Fair.
it feels very similar to the end of Winter Soldier, where
Mm-hmm.
Cap is laying there in the hospital and Sam is there with him. Like it
But
felt
the best part about it, about that moment, was Joaquin saying, "I didn't have heroes where I grew up. There was no one I could look to, and I looked, and the Avengers happened, and I said, and I looked at you, and I said I could be him one day." And it wasn't based on something so thin as race or gender or it was anyone could look at Sam and go, I'm also not a super soldier like Steve Rogers or
yeah.
like Bucky.
But I
But
love my country, the military, and
I
like the
love my country. I can be brave. I can be loyal. I
yep,
can do what's right when no one's looking.
yep, yep,
And that's what connects with me a lot more about Sam Wilson and why I was so excited for him to be Captain America.
yeah,
And Joaquin says, like, yup, I was looking at you. And like Kate Bishop did it with Hawkeye a little bit. Like, I think that's why probably the Hawkeye show is like not my least favorite of their TV shows. But like looking at Hawkeye and being like, you're just the regular dude on the Avengers. Like, and
yeah.
you're fighting with all these gods, but like you keep them grounded. It's good. You need Hulks and you need Iron Mans and you need all these people, but
Which
you
to be
don't.
yeah, like Iron Man's he's got incredible machinery,
But he's
normal
got an ability that no one
yeah,
else has, and that's
correct.
his intellect. Anyone can be Sam Wilson, but Sam Wilson is like the peak of who humans should be, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
And that's why I'm excited. I was excited for him to lead. They've just built so much shit around it that I cannot find myself excited. But at the end of the day, as far as this movie on its own, if I pretend the show doesn't exist, where Sam like is super sympathetic towards terrorists and then tells a senator he's got to do better, then this movie's pretty good.
But to be fair, in the show he says, I agree with your fight, I just don't agree with how you're doing it. Like
I guess that's fair, but the fight is also give us stuff that's not ours.
I agree. I think
Fucking dumb.
it's
The show's dumb. They blow up and kill a lot of people, and he brings
oh yeah,
her out like a martyr. It's stupid.
when he like carries her out, yeah.
It's just dumb. But again, show aside, just the movie on its own, I liked it. Shall we talk about some things that were dumb?
Yeah, I think we probably should. I'm trying to find actually so many moons ago.
Oh, I also want to talk about, I guess I'm for the first time I was like 5% glad that the show existed. And it was because of Isaiah. If we didn't have a bit of a backstory for Isaiah, like that falls a lot more flat. And him in this is just fantastic.
No, I agree. He's great.
That's a racially based story that connects with me because I know that happened in a time where that was going on, and Isaiah went through some shit. So him going back to jail, just seeing the fear in his eyes, I was like, oh my god, this actually hits, and that's a lot more impactful. And I think Isaiah is a great character. He was great in it. Less great characters.
I think before we do that,
Okay.
Well, no, you're right. We should talk about this first. Okay. I didn't hate the lady.
All I'm saying is they better come out and say, oh, by the way, part of the Red Room training is we give them very small doses of super soldier serum.
Because she's so tiny.
Well, she's so tiny, but I also said this when Black Widow came out and they're falling from 10 stories and getting up being like, oh, that hurt. Okay, no, I'm good now. Like,
yeah,
in the comics, that's true. They do introduce some like super soldier serum in
I didn't know that.
So I would love for them to just come out and say, hey, that shit that the Red Guardian that we gave to him, we give the widows little doses of it. Not so much that they become out of control, but enough to where they can fall from 10 stories or like fight a guy that's twice their size.
Yeah, that's fine.
I would be much more okay with all the fighting she did, but I also didn't like hate her as a character. She was just kind of there.
We glossed over Harrison Ford. Did you like him?
Yeah. And like I said, I like Thunderbolt Ross. I like the idea that he's changing or he's trying to change. That's his like story late in life, is he's trying to atone for the things he's done in the past, but
I
also
felt like Harrison Ford as an actor was actually trying. It did not feel to me like he was phoning in his performance.
I guess that's fair. I can agree with that.
Yeah. Which I enjoyed because it would have been very easy for him to phone in.
It just made me sit there and go, cool, so we should have recast Black Panther.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about it. Well,
Would have been weird because it's not Chadwick Boseman, but like the character of Thaddeus Ross got a really beneficial addition to his story.
Yeah.
And I think the character of T'Challa could have also gotten that. That's not the direction they went, and that's fine. But I think overall, I liked him in the role. I liked him as the character. I hope we see him again in Thunder. I was saying at the end, I was like, it feels weird that they would get him and not because Harrison Ford's up there. And
well, that's what Robert said earlier too, was that they didn't like cast someone a little bit younger. Yeah.
So I'm hoping we see him in Thunderbolts and he completes his redemption arc and maybe dies at the end of it.
That would be fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Pretty dumb thing I thought of after. The way he gets powers, I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair.
What would have been much better? He says, I was dying. I had to go see Stearns because I was dying. And instead of Stearns giving him pills that slowly gamma poison him over a course of years and he eventually turns into the Red Hulk, would have been him going and letting Stearns full on operate on him because he's going to die otherwise. And Stearns, the only thing he can do is what he's done before and turn him into the Red Hulk. So I didn't love that at the end of it. I realized, oh, Harrison Ford doesn't know, or Thaddeus Ross doesn't know that he's going to turn into the Red Hulk when he gets angry. He just knows something's up when he gets mad.
I mean, I figured that from the trailers.
I was hoping he was hiding a deep secret of a couple years ago, I was dying. I went to my asset who I kept in jail, Samuel Stearns, and said, fix me. This is how he fixed me. I've been able to keep it under wraps, but now like that I'm the president and there's all this pressure, like now it's finally bubbling over. That I thought would have been a lot more compelling than just he's been taking gamma pills.
No, that's fair. That's I like, yeah, what you just said. That sounds the way better. But yeah, this is a weird movie where like I was something I'm going to spoil. Many moons ago, we made a Nick Twig's MCU ranked list. We have not updated it in a long time. We're gonna update it. It's gonna happen.
Guess what's gonna be towards the bottom?
This movie?
No, just most things.
Oh, well, no shows on it.
Oh.
There's just movies.
Still a lot of movies.
That's right. There's only been, including this, 4 that we don't have on the list. But anyway, I went to my list and I was like, I was trying to decide, you know, like at the lowest, I'm going 3 stars on this movie. 3 out of 4.
Okay.
Or 3 out of 5, rather.
Yeah.
3 out of 5. And I went to my list and looked at the rest of my 3 stars and my 4 stars. This movie still ranks low on my MCU list.
Sure.
To say that this is the second worst or worst up there with Eternals, which Eternals is a movie I like, I think is
Are you basing off of like Rotten Tomatoes score?
Rotten Tomatoes
Oh, okay.
and fan
That's another
reception.
thing is when Rotten Tomatoes score is low, like I actually get a little excited.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, those are the only 2 movies that are rotten in the MCU.
That's a mistake.
Yeah. So I ended up actually giving it a 4 out of 5. Because I said, you know what, I enjoyed what I saw enough, and I'm also not afraid to, if I watch it again, say, nope, I was wrong. That was me trying to be
Sure.
whatever.
I could fully see me watching it again and it taking a hit. My initial thought, I don't do star ratings or anything like that, but my initial thought coming out of it was, I think this is equally as good as the movie it's basically a sequel to, which is The Incredible Hulk. I think it's about as good as that, which when Endgame hit, The Incredible Hulk is like a bottom 3 movie.
According to you, Nick, it is a bottom 5 movie. Yeah.
Bottom 5. Post Endgame with all this other shit, it's pretty good. It's like mid-tier MCU, which like after the string of shit we've gotten, I would gladly accept a mid-tier MCU movie at this point. So that's kind of what we got. I wasn't mad about it. And is this my list?
This is it. We're gonna do it. This is how we're gonna close out the show.
Okay.
Okay. So
Wait, let me just. I feel like there was something else. Mind control, fine, whatever. Mind control.
I was that. There's so much we could have talked about, but the show's over 2 hours at this point. So
correct. I'm just trying to make sure I hit everything I wanted to say. Okay, I think we're good.
All right, Nick.
Yeah.
This is the list you have so far.
Okay, great.
So 2 years ago when we published this.
Yeah.
So to be clear, the last movie we added to this was Wakanda Forever.
Gotcha. Where did I put that?
23. So you have Captain Marvel, Dead Bottom, The Dark World, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3.
Multiverse of Madness right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I make changes to this?
Positively, we're going to make changes. Okay.
Go.
So Captain Marvel at the bottom, you feel good?
For now.
Thor the Dark World.
Well, hang on. So I think I put Love and Thunder above the Dark World. It just doesn't feel right. I think Eternals through Love and Thunder, they can stay in that order.
Okay.
But they should all go under Thor the Dark World.
Like under here.
So 26.
So Incredible Hulk should go here.
Yep.
Iron Man 3 should go here.
Yep.
Iron Man 2 should go here.
Yep.
And Thor the Dark World should go there.
Yes. And I think I can put Captain Marvel above Doctor Strange. No, actually below Doctor Strange, but definitely above Thor.
So Thor Love and Thunder is your worst MCU movie.
Well, no, but
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Of this list, yeah.
Okay, so all right, so you feel good about those. How are we feeling about Guardians 2 and Thor?
I think that's okay, an okay spot for them. Black Widow, that's fine. Put Far From Home above Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's fine. And there's Doctor Strange, Age of Ultron. You can keep going up. Homecoming, great. Ragnarok, fine. Black Panther, very good. Shang-Chi, I like Shang-Chi a lot, but it's a little high. So let's put Shang-Chi below Homecoming. And Ultron. There we go. Perfect. First Avenger, yeah, I did have it at 6, and No Way Home took 5. Those other ones, yeah, the rest is good.
All right. So the next one that we have to add
Yeah.
is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Is Quantumania on there?
Quantum Mania is the next one we have to add.
Put it above Love and Thunder, but below everything else.
Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
That'll actually be a little higher. Above Volume 2. Above Black Widow, above Ant-Man and the Wasp. Right there, I think is good.
Okay. Then next is The Marvels.
Last.
Really?
Easily.
Okay,
Not
then Deadpool and Wolverine.
That's tough because I feel like once the nostalgia like wears off, I won't like it as much. But
That's how I feel about No Way Home, but it hasn't happened yet.
well, because No Way Home is actually a well-written movie. Like I can look at Deadpool and Wolverine and go, "This isn't really well written." I just like the fact that there's people I recognize. But we'll go up above the Incredible Hulk for now. And let's put it above Ant-Man and the Wasp. Again, that works.
All right, and then we got this movie, Captain America: Brave New World.
I think I'm going to put it right above the Incredible Hulk. Above. Nah, right there is fine.
Okay. Look at that.
Scroll down. Yeah, that looks right.
I love it so much. It's so different from my list, but also it's similar.